Howdy, hello, and welcome back. Today is another Becoming episode as we become the one and only Suzie Toot. So we are back, and honestly probably looking the scariest I've looked on the beginning of a Becoming episode. I went ahead and prepped, blocked my brows, started the eyebrows because I'm not gonna lie, it's a night where I was like, if they're not gonna work, we're just not gonna do it. But we ended up making it work, and as mentioned, we are doing the one and only Suzie Toot from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17. I feel like a lot of people's favorites, definitely one of my favorites. Loved her throughout the season. When trying to decide, one, I wanted to do Suzie Toot because she is a March queen, which we love. I am also a March queen. Does that make sense? Anyways, but I was immediately drawn to Suzie's like campy theatrical moments. She was definitely rough around the edges sometimes, but I think a lot of that had to do with the start of her makeup and like kind of learning how it fit film compared to stage, and going through the process of deciding who I wanted to do. I also am doing yet another video after this for the preferred stars coming this weekend, and I'm doing kind of like a little Liza moment, and I wanted to knock two birds out with one stone, and I thought, what is better to do than Suzie Toot and a Liza video? So that is what we're doing here essentially. When deciding Suzie Toot, I was very like, should I do the beginning Suzie Toot era? Is that too sensitive? Is that too soon? Or should I do modern Suzie Toot, where she is a little more painted and a little less doll-y? And I kind of decided to go in the medium, where it's like the end of season 17 Suzie Toot, where she's kind of taken in the critiques and listened to the judges, which is another huge thing I loved about Suzie. She didn't really let the competition get to her. She kind of just understood where the judges were coming and tried to do better each week, which is really honestly all you can do except for complain, which we've also seen. So I definitely think I'm going to be mixing both, we'll say old school Suzie and new school Suzie. And it kind of looks like I'm doing old school and new school Suzie eyebrows, but not intentionally. We're just going to kind of do like purposely her eyebrows. I wanted to go for more of like, less this. This is like giving Ronald McDonald, and I can't really do that, especially for having to do Liza after. So I'm kind of going for the newer one where they're still very swooped, but also like arched and thin. For those who have never seen a Becoming episode, hi, my name is Suzie Preferred. I am a local queen from Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, UK. Obviously, I have a southern, I don't feel like I'm that southern, but I do have a more southern than British accent. I do these little episodes on my channel where I attempt doing the makeup of either a drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, or I don't know if I've done a Dragula entertainer. I've done a clown. I know I've done that. And I guess we're doing another clown. Anyways, and even like Chaperone, I've done Divine. These eyebrows are very similar to Divine. But my main thing with these is I go in not watching tutorials. I go in doing my own process, the way I do my makeup, the like formula of how I put on my makeup. But I just look at a photo and kind of go from there, because I kind of just like looking at stuff and experimenting from that. And that's also the main purpose of this series, is to honestly just to get to dabble in makeup. I loved makeup when I started doing drag, and then the more I did drag, the more I hated makeup. And so it's kind of just a moment for me to experiment with McDonald's eyebrows, apparently. So we got the eyebrows to a decent amount of being done. They're looking pretty insane, but we're gonna continue with the face and honestly hope and pray that they come together. I'm kind of specifically doing her, I was going back and forth of wanting to do the black eyeshadow or the red eyeshadow where she did like the devil look. I decided I've done too many black eyeshadows, and literally tomorrow for the preferred stars I will be doing a black eyeshadow. So not gonna be doing that today. She wore a ginger pussycat wig, which I definitely have. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I got her contour down. She does a pretty, I don't wanna say muddy, but a pretty tan contour, kind of similar to Crystal Method on her season. She kind of got red for having a muddier face. But I'm gonna go in with a liquid blush. I'm trying to use new things that I really haven't used before, and this is one of them. It is very definitely pink. I'm gonna take that not only heavily into the contour, but I'm also going to start to put this into my eye socket to start that blushy look. If I haven't mentioned, very much so in a time rush. So we're doing this as quickly as possible, but we're also making sure to bring fantastic entertainment, which is me, if you weren't aware. Speaking of fantastic entertainment, Suzie Toot, genuinely Suzie Toot from the start. What do y'all think? How did y'all feel? Were y'all a fan? She's usually very hit or miss. I feel like either a lot of people liked her or a lot of people did not like her. And I don't know. I loved her. That definitely did turn out a little bit more pinkier than expected. However, that's kind of okay because it kind of gives me more opportunity. It's very shiny. Y'all notice that? Is this supposed to be shiny? Anyways, crazy. I'm gonna go in and start adding my white. She does a pretty stark under eye, especially when she like scoops in that very Manila Luzon white liner. And we love that. We love to see it. Went ahead and added that white underneath my eye just to kind of give it a moment to set. I'm gonna go in and do the same for my nose. She doesn't really contour her nose, which I feel like I get lucky away with because I do not like contouring her nose. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this white, and then I'm gonna lightly go over the nose with my contour, but I'm not going to really carve it because like I said, she doesn't really do like any nose contour. Kind of surprising because she does a lot of contour on her face, not that much on her nose. Went ahead and powdered everything, kind of including the eyes as well. I went ahead and put red over them. They're looking a little blown out Suzie. So I'm going to eventually go in after I did a crease in the liner to kind of map back in where she usually does hers. But I'm gonna go ahead and start the crease. She does like a puppy dog crease, where it's kind of like a sad girl crease. So that's what we're gonna try to attempt. It shouldn't honestly be that hard because mine's not that much different. The only difference is hers is really high and angular. So we're gonna try to get that as close as possible. And you're probably gonna watch me struggle on camera. So fun. I noticed on the red one, she does more of like the blown out eye. I keep saying blown out. The blown out eye, but I think it's specifically for the look and the blush. So I'm not going to necessarily go for that. More so gonna stick with her, we'll say finale era of season 17, where she did have more of like the cut crease and the liner. And she doesn't do a lot of liner, thank God, because I'm not the best at liner. And for those who watched the Van Gogh video, I very much so struggled. So we don't have to do that today. Now that I have that crease set, I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of that red, just to kind of blend the inner, that was a lot of red, a little bit less, and I'm gonna kind of start blending down towards where the liner's gonna go. This way it just kind of helps fade everything in a little bit better. I'm also gonna take that and blend it. I just realized you can't see any of my face. I'm gonna blend it up back into that crease to kind of hide his happy mistakes. Now that I have that side done, I'm just gonna try and attempt to my best ability to do the other side, and I will be right back. So I went ahead and set that eye, cut that eye. I also did the eyeliner off camera just because there's really nothing special to it. From my understanding, from all I can see, she just kind of does like a little tight line besides the bottom line, which of course we will get into. I'm right now about to go in and kind of reshape her eye. She does this very, as mentioned, puppy dog eye. So I'm just gonna go in and apparently take away that entire eye. I'm just gonna go in and lightly blend it just so that when I set it, it's not chunky. I know it took away a lot of that brow, but I'm gonna go in with a tinier pencil just to kind of add that little snatch that she likes to do of a eyebrow. Now that I have that both blended out and the eyebrows added back in, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of a darker red just to kind of add into some definition now that we have everything mapped out. I'm gonna take a little bit more of that darker red to start the under eye. I'm really just gonna kind of hyper focus on getting the kind of like under eye shape that she does so that I can go in with a, I almost said highlighter or what? With a eyeliner to just kind of put it there and have this as a shadow. She does, from what I can see, rely heavily on powder contour in certain areas, but it's not all of her face. So we're gonna keep that focus up here, and then we're gonna take the anyways, and we're gonna put it into the cheek. I'm also gonna take like the little bit, just like the tiniest little bit to blend into the eyeshadow and kind of marry into that white. She doesn't really do this in her old looks, but in the kind of like Liza Minnelli devil look that I'm kind of referencing, she does kind of blend it a little bit up. So we're just gonna start that blend, and then I'll go back in with white to kind of like fade it out. So I'm gonna go in with a tiny bit of white on a sponge just to kind of add it really more so underneath the eye, not on the chin, not on the cheek, not on the chin, not on the cheek. That should be a shirt like I usually do. Just kind of in the center point. Before I go in and readjust the blush for the last time, I'm just gonna go in and add a little bit of highlight to the apple of the cheek, and also the nose. She does a lot of highlight on her nose before she kind of blends in that contour, which I'm gonna do in a little bit of powder, but she definitely has a lot of highlight on her, like the apples of her cheek. The last thing I do before I go off camera to do finishing touches is just the underliner, just because I feel like it is a huge part of her look. So I'm gonna go in lightly at the top and just swerve it into the eye. And she does it pretty angled and thick at the base. So I'm gonna try to keep most of the tension at the end of it. I'm not gonna add any black eyeshadow underneath just because she does keep it pretty like liner. She doesn't really blend it out, which I feel like kind of adds, and that's something I've never really done, especially with this eye shape, and I honestly really like because it kind of adds into it. Also gonna take a tad bit of white eyeshadow just to set it, and then I'll probably go back under with a black liner to make it a little bit more crispy, and then I will definitely be doing waterline in black as well. Now that I have that on, I'm gonna go off camera to do lips, lashes, and put on a little hair and outfit. And I will be right back with the Suzie Toot and final product. So we're back with the finished look. It is very insane. This pussycat wig is definitely a no. My big head does not work for this. Good for you, Suzie Toot. You can pull it off. I went for, like I said, the devilish little, oh, I forgot to turn the lights on. Let me at least excite in this pussycat wig with some lights. You can barely see it on camera. Anyways, this is the finished Suzie Toot look. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see me do next. Honestly, I'm not too mad at it. I wish I could have like darkened the crease, but she doesn't really do that, so we made it work. But on camera, it looks so much better, so I'm happy with that. Let me know in the comments below who you would like to see me do next. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for a brand new video on the channel every single Sunday, and follow my socials at The Only Preferred. Until next time, stay queer, stay preferred, and always stay toot toot.